Welcome to the Saturday Dev Stream, where we will be making dreams come true. Dreams of uh which academy? Which academy RPGing? So the first thing I have to do is I have to verify I've got this bug fix here for I've been fixing many localization bugs. And there's one I have to verify that it's actually fixed. So let me pull up my OBS chat here, make sure it's working. Okay, very good. So we did a lot of like string concatenation, like just merging different things together to make sentences. I mean, not a lot, but too much, too much. You really should have none if you want to localize your game. And it's really easy. You can just use replacement patterns instead of concatenating strings. So I have, I'll show you. I have the master spreadsheet here. Wait, let me make sure that's okay. I think that should be fine. Okay, yes, I have the master spreadsheet here. And we have, what do we call this thing? Unlock. That's the name of the string. I'll show you. Unlock. There it is. So this is the replacement pattern. So we have a sentence that is made where it asks the player if they want to unlock this particular ability, and then it describes the ability. You can see right here. So it used to like actually concatenate unlock plus and then ability, and then it would literally put a little question mark in the code, and then it would concatenate the ability description. But every grammar for every language is going to be different. So like the Japanese localizer, and I'm sure this is going to be an issue in other language, but they were just the first to report it. They were just like, yeah, we can't make that grammar work. You can't say unlock X ability in Japanese. It's different for us. So now that I've made a replacement pattern, they can just put this little ability bracket. They could just put it wherever they want in their own translation, and it's just going to be easy. And it's honestly just as easy on my end. Here, I just run a string replace. So first it pulls the translation for unlock. This is the string ID. And like if you're playing in Japanese, then this is going to be a Japanese string, but that Japanese string is still going to have this search or this replacement pattern in it. And it will replace ability with the Japanese translation for the name of the ability. So it's really quite easy. And it's especially easy if you do it from the start. So anyway, I have to replace that and make sure that works. Milan's, hello and welcome. All right, rock on. I am doing all right. Lots of exciting things on the horizon, but very, very busy. My wife is extraordinarily pregnant. She is due any second. At any moment, she could go into labor with our second child. And there's just a lot going on. All right, but we press on, we swim on. So I need to figure out how to make this happen. Oh, right, I could easily make it happen just by unlocking an ability. Okay, so we've already updated that. And I think we can just pop into play mode. Strawberry777, hello. I'm loving your leaving Lindau emoji. Classic. Okay, so, oops, I hit tab and it broke. That's a really weird bug. Every once in a while I jump into play mode and I open the player menu and the game breaks, and we've never seen it reported, so I don't think it's happening in standalone, but I have to leave and come back. Interstate X64, hello, says, could you give a quick overview of how your lighting is set up? Our lighting is very simple. Essentially, it's a directional light. That's pretty much it. It's literally a directional light and it casts shadows. The time of day is just the color of the light. So at night it's blue, and in the day it's sort of like a light yellow, and it never moves. That is the important part. It does not move because all these planes, you can imagine if we rotate the sun, The shadows are not quite going to cast nicely. Like if we had sidelong shadows, well, our stuff doesn't have any depth, right? Because it's all just a bunch of like billboards. So it would look really funny. So just don't move your directional light in the sky, and that's it. The shader themselves, we have a bunch of different shaders, like the water shaders, it's a whole own thing, and then we have splat shaders and stuff. But a lot of the stuff in the game is just like basically unlit, almost unlit. It does have shadow attenuation, so it can cast shadows and it can receive shadows. But other than that, it doesn't have any directional shading. I just literally removed that from, they're all custom surface shaders. They're not like vertex frag shaders, which are more complicated. You kind of have to build them from scratch. I'm using all Unity surface shaders, and I'm just replacing the lighting function in every single shader in the game. I'm replacing the lighting function. I can show you the lighting function real quick. This is our cutout shader, which is the most basic shader in the game. We have a bunch of stuff for like our weather and stuff, because it can rain in the game, so it has these really cool little ripples that show up on everything, and it can snow, so there's a snow projection, and you can use a snow texture that just tiles, or you can use a Y projector, which is useful for things that are actually modeled out. Sometimes I use just a Y projector to mask off the sides. And I'll just show you the lighting function. This is it. This is the lighting function. It's super simple. So we just have that custom lighting function here, and the Unity documentation shows you exactly how to replace the lighting function in a surface shader. And it's just like, literally it's 2 lines, because this stuff is like, is that even a line? We're just like finishing the function here. And yeah, we're just multiplying the albedo, which in this case is like not really albedo, because that's kind of like a PBR term, like a physically based rendering term. In our case, it's just like a sprite, multiplying the sprite against the light color, and multiplying it by the attenuation. And the attenuation in this case is the shadows. So, and that's it. That's all there is to it. And all this other crap in the surface function is just basically all the little bells and whistles we need for like weather and snow and other stuff. I got just little doohickeys, these little quality of life things, like if I want to desaturate. Sometimes I just version off the material and I want it to be desaturated, so that I can, like, change the color with the main color. And so it's not complicated. Like, we're not actually doing any lighting stuff in here. It's just really basic, just what we need, just using our artist's eye. All right, so just checking that we're in developer start settings. Let me pop into play mode. Chat really quick. I hope that was informative. Sorry if it was a little bit too bare bones. Milan says, didn't know how much time I had before kid. Oh, I know. Isn't that crazy? Like, yeah, especially when you have young ones. How old are your children, Milan? Yeah, it's pretty simple interstate. We just rely on the art to do the talking and try to keep the lighting simple. That's actually always our approach, even on Eastshade, our last title. I really didn't try to do too much in the lighting. Like, I really did not want a bunch of I'm not a fan of like 20,000 different post-processing things. A lot of people think you arrive at a beautiful read with post-processing. To me, you arrive at a beautiful read when the stuff on screen is beautiful, when the actual things on screen are beautiful and make a beautiful scene in front of you. I really don't like to do too much in the lighting. The simpler the better for me. So here I'm going to go into the abilities. So ignore how messed up all of our all this Japanese right here. It's because we have a issue with our sheet. But anyhow, hopefully we can actually still test this. Okay, we don't have any XP, so I need to give myself some XP. So give XP, give myself like 100 XP. There we go. Okay, I've just gained many levels, 10 levels, and yeah, this is all going to be fixed. What happened is that somebody pasted some translations in our master localization sheet, and and the translations were like one off. So all this stuff on screen right now, all this Japanese you see on screen is like the text for like a book or something, and it's just showing up in a really small text field. It's not supposed to be. It should be simple to fix once the translators paste in their new updates. I'm hoping. Okay, here we go. So this is, oh right, it's not gonna, I actually do want to see it in English first to make sure it's actually working. So let me change the game to English. Oops. There we go. Now we're in English. All right. And then here we go. So it just says unlock. So why does it just say unlock? Oh, you know what? It's because I have not pulled the latest master loc sheet with our new change from it. Let me go ahead and download that. Download the TSV file. And then we're going to call this master. I'm on my second monitor, loc sheet. .txt, and then we're going to open our master loc sheet. So here's our master loc sheet. Should be in there, and then I'm just going to replace it. Okay, we'll get the master loc sheet here, and then I always have to do this thing where I delete the simplified out of the Chinese column header because I'm an idiot. There we go. Okay. 3-year-old, nice. Solo project is really stagnant. Oh my gosh, yeah. If you have a side project and a job, there are people who have children and still make progress on their side project on top of their job. I can't do it. I feel like I have no free time right now, and that's just with the job and the kid. But of course, we're also like basically crunching for our lives right now because our game is coming out, so we have to finish. So I usually don't work this hard. Right now, I'm just working all the time. Here, I had that tab issue again. I'm gonna have to exit out and go back in. Very annoying. Yeah, and we have childcare support too. So it's hard, man. Being a parent is really hard. Being a parent is harder than well, for me personally, it's harder than anything I've ever done. But everyone's different. Some people have an easier time with it. So like for me, parenting is harder than game deving. Just like a work day of like sometimes I have to watch my son all day, and that day is way harder than a full day. Like if I'm watching him 16 hours like the whole day, or like 14 hours, I guess he doesn't stay up for 16 hours, but that day is way harder than like a 16-hour work day of game dev for me. So like a stay-at-home parent who's full-time with the kids, in my opinion, their job is much more grueling than a normal full-time job. They're like basically double full-time. Okay, so just want to check here. Let's do give XP. And let's try to unlock this. Okay, here we go. So it did ability description. So unlock mana enrichment, ability description. So it did not replace that string. So this is why we test things, because I obviously did something wrong. So let me look at the ability hex button and look at where we're replacing the string with ability desk. Oh, it looks like in the, yeah, okay. I just literally did the string pattern wrong. I swear to God. So stupid. Okay, there we go. It's ability description, not ability desk. Let's try that one more time. Milan asks how many people are on the project. So it's myself, my wife is actually the creative director and lead artist and lead writer. And then we have one other full-time programmer. And then we have a few contractors, like a composer and an animator, but just 3 full-timers. Interstate asks, how old is your son? My son is a little over 2.5. We'll soon have 2 little boys. And it's going to suck for a while. Should be the hardest. This year should be the hardest year of our lives. At least in terms of working, assuming nothing super bad happens to us. Maybe there's a harder year emotionally, but in terms of actual work, how much we work, this one should be as hard as it gets. I'm hoping. So, okay, let's check it again. Let's give XP. Okay. And unlock. There we go. That looks perfect. Okay, awesome. Really happy with that. And that should be good. Catch up. Milan says, both me and my son have severe ADHD. Okay. So does that make it maybe harder, probably harder to parent and harder for the kid to maybe take orders or listen? Oh man, and they're already so difficult. So difficult to get them to do what you want them to do. Part-time with kids is not that hard, but the difficulty and exhaustion, scaling curve is exponential. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Testing. I updated OBS and all my buttons are in different spots. Yeah, and then the sleep is the worst part. It's just hard never really having the assurance that you're going to get a good night of sleep. Like you're just kind of always on duty. Like you don't know when your kid's going to wake up, and then they might wake up in the middle of the night and something might be wrong. They might get sick. It just like never really feels anymore like it used to be. I would go to bed and I'd just be like, oh, I'm so tired. It's going to be so great. I'm so excited to sleep. And, you know, maybe you have something you have to get up for, but at least you have the assurance that you can, you know, you can turn off, and you just never ever get that. And I guess I'll get it back one day. When the kids are like, when our youngest is like 7, maybe, I don't know when it actually becomes like, okay, you can reasonably assume that now you can sleep for the whole night. Cause you know, even 5-year-olds get sick and they, you know, they need help, and they're scared, and they suffer, and they come to your bed. Okay. So that's fixed. Which is great. And now I want to move on to the interior, the room that we were working on a few days ago. We're arting that, and we have a bunch more stuff now. So I'm going to get us set up with that. Yeah, for sure. Feel that, Milan. There's no pause button. And I think it's just when they're young. I hope it is. I hope it gets easier, because honestly, this is pretty hard. I hope it gets easier. I mean, most parents say that it, like they joke, right? They're like, well, wait till they're teenagers. And I know I've said this on the stream before, but I just can't help but feel like they've forgotten what it's like to be woken multiple times throughout the night. And they've forgotten how hard it is to get to sleep when you know your kid could wake up at any minute. And obviously teenagers do not give you this issue. And they say, well, yeah, you have different kinds of worries though. And it's like, that's fine. I will worry about those other things, but I want to sleep. So I hope that they've just forgotten how hard that having a little one is, having a toddler is, or especially having an infant, or having an infant and a toddler. Oh my goodness. I can't even comprehend it. And I won't comprehend it. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen in like a week. And I'm just ready. I'm ready to go to battle, basically. And whatever happens will happen. And there will be suffering, and I'm ready for suffering, and I will just keep my expectations low. Saravati, hello and welcome. There's a massive improvement between 3 and 3.5. Okay, that's good to hear. My opinion, 2 to 3 was the most difficult time. Okay, so hopefully we're in the thick of it. And then once we have our new little baby, we'll have an infant and a 2-year-old. And I'm expecting it to suck so bad. I'm expecting it to suck really, really bad. But I also know it's temporary, so just grin and bear it as best you can, I'm hoping. But we also have to ship our game. So this is why I say that this year is just the confluence of death. And we knew that it would be. But Jacqueline was actually toying with the idea that we should wait until the game's done. But I was just like, let's not base the age gap of our children around our work schedule. Because if we want them to be like less than 3 years apart, then we should not, we should not change that because we're making a video game, and we should just suffer temporarily and do the best we can so that 10 years later they can be closer friends and hang out together and stuff. So hopefully we made the right choice. All right, so let's turn on the test tools. And then the entry secret door is going to the wrong place. So let's go to the correct place that we want to actually go here. Okay, and then we'll turn on the preview for the room we're working on here. So we actually can see what doing. Oh, it looks nice. Jacqueline has been working on it. Oh boy, howdy. Oh, that looks awesome. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, I'm so excited about that. Oh, that just really brightens my day. Okay, hell yeah. Yeah, so Jacqueline had drawn sort of a rough draft concept, and then I took, splayed it into pieces on the texture atlas. And then she took the atlas back and she polished it up, and it just looks really dope. So that's why I'm so excited about it. This window looks terrible. It's just kind of empty. So I wanted to put some cool patterns in the window, and I'm going to check this out. I'm going to go to the library. Actually, yeah, we'll grab the mesh because we have some really cool window patterns modeled out in the library. First, we need to check out this reminiscing room interior.blend file. So it's in models. Reminiscing. Oh, we already have it checked out. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, so I should be able to save. Excellent. And these objects, I reckon, do not need to be exported. Oh, they probably will, because we need to separate all of these items out. We're not done yet. So there's actually a lot more work to do. Have to think about how I want to handle that. I might just cut. Yeah, that might be easier. Anyhow, first Windows. Let's do Windows. Okay, so let's open up the library. Library interior. And go on to the first layer. And here is super cool window designs. Now, is there going to be someone who sees this and thinks, oh, that's the same window from the library? Maybe. But I've always been so smitten with this design. I was so happy with it. I am going to use it. So let me look at the object name. So it's called cylinder.005. So, and we want this tall one, cylinder.005. So I'm going to go back to the reminiscing room and append from the library an object. an object called cylinder.005. There we go. So now we have our window, and I hope that people forgive us for reusing it. I think that they will. I think that maybe nobody will notice would be my guess. But maybe someone will. We have so little reuse in Songs of Glimmerwick, like so little. I would say we're reusing stuff like probably less than 5% as often as other games do. It's just so, there's so much unique stuff every second that I hope people can forgive the little bit of reuse here, because the whole room is unique. I'm just reusing the window because this window is dope. Where is the parameters for this object's rotation? Am I like losing my mind? There it is. All right, so here we go. -90 is what we want. Okay, now we know it's perfectly square. Okay, let me catch up. Milan says, I was crunching for KCD2 during your current stage. Oh, wow. Okay, whoa, wait. What is KCD? That's, oh, Kingdom Come Deliverance. All right. That's awesome. So do you work, where is that studio from again? Is it Poland? Let me find out who made it again. It's Warhorse. And oh, no, Poland. From headquarters says Czech Republic. Okay. Sorry about that. Why I confused those. Okay. I don't confuse all my Central European countries. I'm sorry that I confused that one. That's really cool. So are you what is your discipline, Milan? Are you a coder? Are you an artist? I'm gonna just stick this window in here, and I will probably have to get rid of the frames because we already have frames. And since these are Gothic windows, the frames make absolutely no sense. So, you can't just have this in the middle. So we definitely want to, I would say, get rid of here. By the end, the window will be so different that nobody will ever notice in a million years. So first we're going to get rid of these. And now, okay, so there's fundamental issues with the window that we'll have to adapt. So I think that this glass, we can probably just take these and just move them back. And I'm actually going to unparent them. And let's see what we can do about this. So we maybe can just do the one side here. It's not a mirror, is it? Let me check. Nope, it's not mirrored. So we can just delete both of these. And delete this. And then we're going to separate this out, selection. And this is an important piece here because we want this to be, first of all, centered. So let's stick all that right in the middle. And then I'm just going to pull this all to the frame. We will need some kind of frame here. So I'm thinking, yeah, we need some depth here. I really shouldn't have deleted the last frame. Let me undo a number of things. There we go. Okay. I want to keep one around. So let's delete these. Level artist. Very cool. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I really enjoyed, I haven't played Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but I really enjoyed the first one, what I played of it. Don't know if you were on the team for that one, but fantastic work if you were. And I'm sure, I mean, the second one I'm sure is amazing as well. Heard good things. Let me move these back and then partition them out. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is grab the top of these two and just delete them. And then I'll just grab those and I'll separate them out into a different object. And I just want to, I think, just merge them together like this. Create this kind of mirrored pattern. And this one is a Gothic arch pattern, which is good. Looks like there's some kind of seam in the middle. I don't necessarily love. Oh, you know what? We might be able to just like not even do it like this. Seems like we maybe can just unwrap it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we don't need a center piece. So let me just remove that edge loop, and I can remove this edge loop as well. And then I'll just do 3. Actually, we'll make this the size that we need it. What I was going to say is I don't generally like to mix Romanesque and Gothic arches. That is, I don't like to mix pointed arches with rounded arches. I think it looks tacky. And I think that it is architecturally egregious. Like, I don't know, like just not really based in reality. You just don't really see that. Typically, if a building is using pointed arches, then they're all pointed arches. And if a building is using rounded arches, then they're all rounded. Okay, so here we'll put in, so we just kind of got to figure out how we want to do this. I'm going to maybe go for an accordion fold. How does that look? That looks a little bit weird. Oh, no, actually, maybe I like it. I don't know. No, it needs, the top one at least needs some kind of conclusion. So I will push that up there and then perhaps lower it a little. I just want to make sure it goes all the way to the top of that pointed arch. Cool. Yeah, okay. Milan says, are you planning on growing the studio once it's successful? I like your confidence. I would really love to stay small. I have some conflicting ideas because I want to make bigger games and I want them to not take so long. I don't want to take 7 years on our next game. But I don't want to hire a bunch of people. And the reason I don't want to hire a bunch of people is because it's stressful to employ that many people and have their jobs in my hands and their destinies in my hands, and B, feed that many people, which means that I, as a business owner, have to make sure that we make tons and tons of money to keep the payroll going. And that's really stressful. So right now we're in a situation where, we only have 3 people full time, and we seem to be able to make some pretty damn big games. I mean, Glimmerwick is really big, and I think it's going to make quite a bit of money. It's hard to imagine that it nets us less than $4 million. I just don't really see that. Just everything, anyone who knows anything about, Steam and selling games on Steam and wish lists and Burkett ratios and, sales statistics and pre-launch metrics and stuff, I'm sure they would agree with me that it seems very unlikely it will make less than $4 million, especially when you consider all the other platforms. And if that happens, if we can make, if we can net $4 million and we have 3 people on staff, that's just going to be, it's tempting to be like, well, why would you change anything? You kind of just make games, you know, at your own pace and enjoy life and don't worry about it. But I want to make more games, because if we can only make one game every 7 years, I don't get to make that many games before I die, right? It's only like what, 5 to 10 games, probably. Well, definitely not 10 games. I don't have 70 years left. You know, so maybe around 5 to 7 games. So I'd like to be able to make them a little faster. I think it'd be really cool to make games in like 4 years. I think would be a nice amount of time that you can really, you know, fall in love with the game and sink your teeth into it and enjoy the process, but ship a little faster. But to make a game in 4 years, we need more programming muscle. And if we have more programming muscle, then we need more art muscle to keep up with that programming muscle. And if we have more art muscle and more programming muscle, we need more design muscle to keep up with the programming and the art muscle. You see what I'm saying? It's like you can really throw, right now we are so well balanced as a team. Like everybody always has stuff to do. Everybody's list is always full. We never feel like we're bottlenecked. We never feel like we're waiting on anyone. There's almost no management. Everything is so easy. We all know what to do. We all know the game inside and out. And it's just really fun to work on the game like this. But if we add one person, I think that the balance will get messed up. I think it's really important that, you know, your design and your art and your programming departments are all balanced, and that they can all, you know, keep each other well supplied with new game design docs and new assets and new code to keep up with all of it. But we'll see. That was a really long answer. Koratora, hello, welcome. Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Keep it small, make the games you want. That's the dream, right? That's the dream. So I don't want to mess with it too much. I don't want to go above, I would say 6 seems like scary. I would say 6 would be our maximum amounts. Witch teeth. What are witch teeth? Milan says, 2 years deep into my project and going for it and pushing it to the point of hiring someone. It's so hard to commit. I envy you for having a wife from the field. That's already huge. Yeah, it is really fun. It's really fun. We kind of grew into it together. I mean, when we met each other, neither of us were in games because we were college students. I think we were 17 when we met each other. So we sort of both grew into it. And it's really fun. It's fun to talk shop and not, you know, bore each other too much because we work in the same field. But yeah, it also kind of helps with the studios because we're one household. So we both work on the game, and you know, we live from the same pool of money. So that's nice as well. Yeah, because if I had one other employee that, you know, we were paying, our burn would be higher and it would be a little bit more stressful. Actually, we would not have been able to make Glimmerwick because if we had 2 full-time people on salary, the burn would have been too high. We would not have been able to take 7 years. So Cortor says going to keep a known pipeline. Yeah, I mean, it would be cool. I think that our next hire would have to be, we need a character artist because the characters were so easy on Glimmerwick compared to Eastshade. The character pipeline was so smooth. We definitely want to keep that fast. I'm going to merge these together and make a sort of cylinder if I can here. So I wouldn't want to, yeah, it would just be nice to have a full-time character artist, and we have to have an animator too, because I don't want to do animation anymore. I'm not good at it. And our games, I think that they could have better animation if we had a dedicated person. So that would be fun. So an animator and a character artist, and look at that, we're already at 5 people. That's scary. 5 people, scary. But I think that we would need another programmer. And then we're 6 people, and then I have to do all the environment. I think I can do all the, especially if I'm not programming. I'm a machine. I'm pretty arrogant, but I think that I can basically do the environment art of like 5 people. But I like to think I'm proven because I did it on Eastshade. I did all the environment art on Eastshade. So especially with Jacqueline doing a lot of level design and mapping, she's really good at like taking all the assets I made and building out levels and stuff with it. So especially with her doing that, and then she'll have more time for doing that if we have someone doing animation and characters, because right now Jacqueline draws all the characters, she prepares them all for rigging, and then most of them she rigs herself, so she puts them on the main rig and she weights them and stuff, so that there's a lot of work involved in that. And if we had people for that, then all of that time that she spends on that would be free to do other stuff like more design and more mapping and stuff. And if we had well, for our next game, we're going to have Jenny from the start, and I'm not going to do, hopefully, I'm going to do hardly any programming, which means I'll have way more time for environment art, which means I can do way more environment art. I'm just gabbing here while I fill this window with this cool design. So I need this to fit perfectly in the window. So I'm going to separate this out into its own object. If you want to hit the 4-year mark, you can't always be learning new workflows. I mean, that too, yeah, it would be nice. But regardless, our next game is going to be so different. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff to learn anyway. Yeah, we seem to like to make completely different games every time, unfortunately. It does not make things easy for us. I'm trying to think about how I want to do this arch. I guess what I'll do is maybe like delete these right here, because I need to widen this thing. I'll expand the selection. I'll just delete these. Maybe even I'll get one more and delete these. Okay, and then I'll put a cut right here and a cut right here, and then I'll just grab those and I'll rip. I love modeling because I can talk and model at the same time. I can't talk and program at the same time. What does that say about modeling? I don't know. Maybe I've been doing it way longer. I don't think anyone can talk. I think coding is too language oriented. Let me add a mirror modifier to this. We've got this shadow radial, dark, and the window pane library .001. Library purple beams. We'll have to replace that with some other materials. So we'll see. But right now we just have to add a mirror modifier. Come on, let's go. Mirror modifier. Milan says, seems like you're in dire need of some Slavic handsome fella for the next project. Well, I will say that we almost certainly will hire abroad. We use something called a PEO, which stands for Professional Employment Organization, and they have basically companies in pretty much every country. I mean, really every country that you would probably be hiring tech people in. They certainly have one in the Czech Republic. And you can hire people like full time through that company. They'll put them on the payroll and then we pay them. And then they charge us like an overhead. And that's how we hire people abroad. Jenny, our programmer, she lives in England. So we wouldn't normally, I guess it's technically possible. We'd have to open a company in England and put her on payroll, but that would be just a nightmare. There would be so much work for me to figure that out. So we'd use this company. So we can hire anywhere in the world. Even full-time people we can hire anywhere in the world. And I like hiring full-time. Contractors are harder. I haven't. I mean, there's some contractors that have worked out really well, but we definitely like having people, you know, stay for a long time. They just require less management. They know what's up. Yeah, it's like way scarier to hire someone full time, but the reward is way higher because like if you get a good one, man, it's awesome. Okay, so I will go ahead and apply this. And I'm going to bridge these edge loops with a bunch of cuts. Oops, we have some issues here. I don't really quite know what's going on. I might just consider doing this manually. Let's bridge the edge loop and increase the number of cuts. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, let's do a bunch of cuts. Nice and smooth. Then I'll just grab the top and we'll just use some kind of fall off here, proportional fall off. Maybe a sharp to make kind of a pointed arch here at the top. There we go. And I just want it to roughly follow the contour of Jacqueline's arch. So we're gonna have to scale it a little bit as well. Interesting. Now it looks like kind of Persian, right? If you just do this kind of, what do we call this? Like squeezed at the top. It's interesting how different you can make the language of the building look just by changing the arch. Man, arches are everything. Arches are, they're really like I feel like they're like the soul of the building. And if the building has no arches, it has no soul. No, I'm just kidding. I do like arches though. Let me catch up with chat. Milan says, I think it's really important for these small projects to really know what's going on, and it takes a lot of time to get into it. Exactly, yeah. It's like the mythical man month thing. Yeah, you lose so much time, you know, just getting people up to speed, and when you have someone long term, then they just require so much less management. They know how the game works, they know how the pipelines work, and then ideally, you know, you get someone, and I think that they like it more because they get to have ownership over the project. They get to really feel like part of the team. You know, people don't want to feel like a hired contract. They want to feel like part of the team. So I like full-time better, but it's so expensive, and you have to really make sure that you can always keep them supplied with work, because if you can't keep their plate full at all times, oh boy, does it burn money fast. Instantly heard Persian music. Yeah. Korator says, took me 6 months to know anything. For 6 months, I was borderline useless. Yeah, and I think that's really normal. And, you know, are you also a game dev, Koratora? I was going to say, you know, game dev is skilled labor, and skilled labor takes time to get up to speed. Gotcha. Oh, right. Okay, I remember. Sorry, I know I have the profile of people in my mind, but sometimes I forget the name to the profile. But remember, you're making that cool dinosaur game. It's a dinosaur game. Is that an accurate description? I remember there were colorful dinosaur-looking things in it. And I remember that I remember how many reviews it had. And everything else about it. Okay, so let's copy maybe some of these rings. This is going to be cool. Oh, right. I need this, unfortunately. Okay, well, what are we going to do about this? I guess we'll just remake it. That should be the easiest thing to do. So let me grab each side of it there. And we want to make sure to merge these verts because it looks like they haven't been merged. Let's remove the doubles. Increase the threshold. There we go. And then also looks like our window maybe needs more coverage. A little bit wider. I'll just do it a little bit wider. And I want to submerge this into this. There we go. And then also we'll grab the bottom. We probably don't need the outside, so maybe I'll just delete the outside. And grab the bottom here and then just push it down all the way here. So now we have some kind of inset to work with, which is good. Looks like for whatever reason, I guess it's not totally symmetrical, which is fine. And we can adjust that. Just squeeze it a little bit, move it over. I just want that inset. And it doesn't work very well. I mean, Jacqueline can draw the inset, but it gets a little weird sometimes with the window sill and everything. But this is going to be really important. Basically, we need some kind of shadow right here to indicate that the windowsill extends beyond the window. And if I export this, and I probably should export this right now, or at least soon, you guys will see what I'm talking about. Okay, let me duplicate this, do one more circle. Actually, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to maybe duplicate this one up here. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Look at that. That's awesome. I love that. That's a really cool window. Sick. Okay. Yeah, I think that's neat. All right, but now we've got to sort out our materials because we can't have, we've got this shadow radial. So I'm sure we have a shadow radial in here. Shadow radial dark, there we go. We've got window pane library. I'm just going to reuse window pane library. No reason why we shouldn't use that. And then there's library beams purple. So that one we're going to have to version off because we're definitely going to want very fine control over that color. So we're going to go library beams purple. And I'll duplicate that and we'll just call this reminiscing room beams. Got some funky imaginative creatures. I like that. Oh, you know, I missed some follows. It's hard for me with the multi-streaming. Let me catch up. If anyone who followed is still around, sorry for taking this long to get to it. What's going on here? I'm trying to get... There we go. Okay. Wait, I missed a sub. Okay, I have no sound, guys. It didn't notify me of the sub. Queen Beantrix, thank you so much for the sub. If you're still around, I'm really, really sorry if you left 18 minutes ago. Thank you so much for the sub. I was not getting any notifications whatsoever. Sorry about that. I know that I missed the whole point of streaming, right? It's like I'm just like working and gabbing, but thank you so much. You're on Trello, by the way. Yes. And then also let's get the other. It's Niche. Thank you so much for the follow. And I think that's everyone. Okay. All right, so reminiscing room beams. I'll copy that name. Were you letting me know, Koratora, for like privacy reasons? I do show the Trello on stream. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so I copy this to the clipboard. Let's go back into Blender, and then I'm going to replace that material name, and here we go. Okay, so now I should be able to parent this entire thing. I don't really know why these are separated. So we have this interior, and then we'll get this one as well. Let's Control J that. Okay, cool. And we'll get every part of this window, the beams, and then I'll parent it to here. And just, I like to move this dummy around to make sure it's all parented. Looks like we got everything. And then I'll export. Whoa, we did not export. Probably we don't have everything checked out that we need. So reminiscing room interior, I'll just go back. We do have, oh, no. We don't have any of the stuff we need checked out. So let me grab everything. I'll grab the material as well. We're probably going to be messing with all that stuff. Why isn't it letting me check it out? Come on now. Version control, check out. There we go. Check all that stuff out. And now we should be able to go into Blender and run the export. God dang it. What's the issue? This one, it broke on this one. Reminiscing room ottoman. It's got to be a reason why it's not letting us export, but I don't know what it is. I'll start just by selecting everything in the scene and marking it to not export, and then I'll export. Okay, it worked. Here's our room, and I'll export this. Okay, so the room exported. That's good for now. Okay, so it looks like the glass didn't come through, I'm guessing. Yeah, window pane library. So window pane did not come through. Let's see about that. Okay, so I didn't set these materials correctly. This should be window pane library. This one should be shadow radial dark. Here, I believe everything in here should only be reminiscing room beams. So I'm going to remove everything else. I will go ahead and remove everything but this one, and then we'll set this to shadow radial dark. And just to get us started, I'll get just the front. Actually, we'll go ahead and do this now. Okay, and then I'll just scale it in like that, and then separate it off into its own object. And then select everything and assign the shadow radial dark material to it, and then select this other one and join it. So now it's all part of the same thing. Maybe it shouldn't be though. Maybe I don't need to do that. Actually, why? Why should it be really? Oh, because I'm going to copy the whole window. That's why. Okay, we'll keep that. And then I just want to set this all to our shadow radial. And I guess I'll just scale it really tiny on the Y, and then map it to just a basically random part of the shadow. It'll just be dark, essentially. That's all I need. I'll even put it right in the middle. Okay, and then I just want this to follow just above the glass. So I'm just going to push this back until it's just floating above that glass. There we go. Okay, and now, and it should probably be a little bit thicker, but for now, actually it should be a good deal thicker. It's going to be quite annoying to thicken because I want it to go all the way to the edge. I think the easiest way to thicken it might be to grab the loop and extrude inward. This is a trick I learned. And then grab all the interior faces and then fatten them inwards, because the fatten works on the normal. Basically, this sets up the normal perfectly for us. Okay, it does mess the very top one at the tip of the point. If you have a Gothic arch, gets a little messed up. And then I should be able to delete all those interior faces because we don't need them. Okay. And it looks like we do have a little bit of glass there, the edge showing, but let's see what it looks like. Export. Oh, hell yeah. Sweet. And we have that little bit of glass showing just like I thought. So in order to not have that, just want to make sure to scale this up a little bit. We shouldn't see any glass. Look at that. And now it actually looks like the, oh, we don't have enough showing at the bottom. It's too thick on the sides and not thick enough on the bottom. So let's fix all that. Let me go catch the follow. Saj Kowar, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate that. Queen Beantrix, I'm so sorry I missed your sub if you're still around. Saj Kowar says, how much time does it take in general to make this kind of room in Blender plus later setup in Engine? Well, okay, so here's the concept for the room. Jacqueline, I think, draws this in probably a couple days. Then we have the atlas. So she makes a concept. This is the original concept. Right now I'm loading the atlas. It's freaking massive. It's absolutely gigantic. So it's taking forever to load. Yeah, I think maybe it takes her longer. I don't know, because there's a lot of steps. Like she makes ideas. Like she makes thumbnails of in her sketchbook of a bunch of different ones. So let's say maybe a week it takes to like figure out how the room is going to look. And this is a more polished version. So this is after I've broken it apart into the atlas. I would say this breaking apart process takes me more than a day or two. And then Jacqueline goes back and polishes it up. And I think she usually spends another 2 days on that. So if we're talking like person days, we're already at like 10. Then the projection process for an interior like this is going to take me probably a week, I guess. Especially because this one has mixed. Some of them are really simple and they just take a day. But since this one has a lot of, do you see all these pieces of furniture that needed to be separated? Those, if you have a lot of that stuff, it'll take longer. So I don't know. I think it probably takes like 20 work days for one interior, for the art anyway. So it's not cheap. I want a lot more of that glass showing on the bottom, and then I'll just scale it wider so that we don't have so much showing on the sides. I want it to be a little bit thinner. Yeah, and each interior is different. Like the library took more than 20 work days for sure. The library is so big and it's just so detailed and it has all these different parts. And then, we'll come back to it a year later and do more work on it. And yeah. And then fill it with quests. Yeah, and the quests take a long time too. I mean, every quest, I would say, like we do brainstorming and then Jacqueline writes a design doc, and I think she spends a few days writing the design doc and then another few days writing the conversations. So it's at least a work week from her. I think Jenny, she usually does the first pass in a couple work days. When she's implementing, she goes to our design doc and she looks at all the stuff that needs to happen in the quest. And then she lays it all in, like all the implementation, and she hooks in all the conversations and does all the markup for the NPC schedules and writes any code and custom callbacks we need for the quests. And then she tests it and gives us a start setting so that we can test it. And that takes, she's really fast. She does that in a few work days usually. And then we test it. And then Jacqueline will have another iteration of making changes to the design doc. I'd say that takes another couple work days. So just adding it all up quickly in my head, I would say that medium-sized quests, because obviously each quest varies massively in complexity and length, but a medium-sized quest, I think it probably takes us 20 person days between all of us. That sounds about right, especially if you include the testing and the polish fixes and the little changes and doohickeys. Definitely. Okay, let me go check those follows. Sushi, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that. Milan says it feels a bit too busy on the bottom of the window. Okay, well, we can take a look at the design there. Saj Kawart says, was it the same process time for an E-shade room? No, I would say that an E-shade room probably took less time, maybe. Yeah, I think an E-shade room took less time overall. But each room in E-shade, it was so much less detail than each room in Glimmerwick. Less interactive objects. I would say less unique stuff because we kind of use the textures across the whole game. I would say slightly less time. There were a lot of rooms in E-shade too. Like we had buildings that just had like 6 rooms or whatever. But some things took way longer in E-shade and some things take way longer in this game. But overall, this game just has so much more different kinds of rooms. That looks pretty dope. The value is a little bit wrong. Actually, the purple, surprisingly, is working pretty well for the windowsill, but I think we can make it better here. So here's the reminiscing room beams. I think it shouldn't really be purple. These are more red. So here we'll go to more red color and I'll go a little bit more desaturated, a little bit just darker in general, more of a brown. A little busy at the bottom. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe we can come up with some design that is just by pushing these around. You could take this and do like a triple design in the middle. Maybe we don't even need that one. Delete it. Yeah, I think that could work. And then maybe I push this one down to the bottom. Yeah, I think I like the idea of having some kind of design very close to the bottom, almost like a border for the window. How does that look? Yeah, I think that's cool. Feels like it almost needs something in the middle. I don't know. Anyway, let's do the other windows. So we don't need these anymore because we're just not going to use them. So I'm just going to delete them, get them out of the file. I know we're not going to use them, so we're all done with that. Now it would be real nice to just combine everything about the window into one thing. So go ahead and do that. There we go. And I will duplicate the window because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to make pretty drastic changes to it. I could just try scaling it and see how far we get with it, but we might not be able to fit it in there. It actually looks like it might work. I don't know why the bottom windowsill seems to be changing height a little bit, but that's okay. All right, and I will do an instance for this other one because they should be exactly the same, right? Oh, what do we have here? What do we have here? It looks like the glass doesn't go quite high enough. So we'll make sure to fix that. So here's the glass. Just grab this. I'll just move it up like that all the way to the top. There we go. Core says Glimmerwick is dense like good lasagna. Yes, it is very dense. Hello, Ryan JQ says, I really hope Songs of Glimmerwick has some E-shade Easter eggs. Thank you, Koratora. Don't know if it does. I don't know what qualifies quite as an Easter egg. Now these, the shadowing on the glass is very dark, and I can change how dark it is just by grabbing the faces that make the shadowing and just moving it to a lighter piece of the shadow here. So I don't have to make like a separate shader or anything. Just move it to a lighter spot and export, and now it should be lighter. One thing that is bothering me, that looks much better. One thing that I don't think that they should all have the same shapes. I think that they should have very different shapes. Like the same design, but it's so cool because we can just move these around and get completely different feeling from it. Oh, cool. Like we can even do like a continuation thing. Oh, that might be neat. Okay, let's delete those, and then let's try to get a continuation going. So like this one is continuing off that one. This one can be continuing off of like, well, yeah, we have 2 right there. So let's just get 2 in there. And this is continuing off that. This one will be continuing off no one. And then this can continue off of this one right here. And I guess we just might, well, it looks weird if they don't touch, so they should touch. And then we can put this, we'll just sort of copy the language. That one right there. I don't know which, is it this one that we have? Looks like it's pretty wide. Yeah, I guess something like that. Just so we have some similar language happening. Now they did get a little bit thinner. So let me just fatten them up. They got a little bit thinner because we scaled them down. And then I'll just squash it a little so it can have a sort of similar looking profile to this other one. We're gonna have to fatten this up as well. Looks like this one needs to continue to get fatter. Okay, how's that look? Let's check it out. So much better, so much cooler. It feels like we need something up there. That's really cool. Maybe we don't. I don't know. Let's try putting something up there. Let's put this like maybe here, just to sort of support the top of the window there. That's really cool. Yeah, I think that looks really nice. It looks very whimsical. It looks really kind of striking and wizardy, I guess. I like it. Milan's asks, what's your favorite game? My favorite game of all time is Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Brian JQ suggests Black Thistle, maybe some of the paintings, glowstones, elixirs. I won't say a word. Okay, so I really like those windows. I'm really happy with them. All right, just make that material a little bit more red and a little bit lighter, just to match the tone. Couldn't be more pleased. Hell yeah. All right, we need a fire here. Really, Jacqueline should have made this all black, but I'm sure she'll have more stuff to do on the Atlas. So let's get a fire. Let's go to the library where we'll be pillaging, seemingly pillaging many things from. Why not pillage the fire? So I'll just go see what fire we're using. It says my favorite organization structure for a game is just making it really easy to go to the different parts of the game, because you know the whole game. So if you just can easily move around your game and copy things from different parts of your game, then you don't have to worry about some kind of file structure where you're like making everything perfect, everything's easy to find. Just use the game itself to find things For instance, I have no idea what that fire is called. I have no idea where we put it in our directory structure, and I don't care because I just copied it out of the library and now it's the same one. Very cool. So it's kind of hard to put a fire in here because of the way that we projected this. I'm going to really have to push it maybe more to the left than I would like. Let's see how that looks. So I'll save and look at our preview. Calculable Snail says, I like the palette. Thank you. The way the brown turns reddish as it gets darker. All right. Glad you like it. Yeah, tracking things down is hard in game development. Okay, so we have the fire in there. It definitely looks like it should be more centered. And I wonder if Jacqueline wants to draw a fire in there, because she could easily draw a fire in there. We don't have to have this asset of the bundle of wood. But the only other way to make this thing look more like it's centered is just to move it in sort of a weird direction. Let's see how that looks. That's okay, but it should really be further in there like this. Okay, now it actually looks like it's too far to the right. So let me scale it up a little, move it a little over left. And it looks very strange because the brick around it is so clean right now. It should be all black. It should be so black that you can almost not even make out the wood, I'm thinking. Yeah, and all of this stuff, the glow, the only way to make the glow look right, I think we're just gonna have to push it all the way out. Because right now it's just clipping through everything, but here we go. We can push it right there. And hopefully it'll be exactly aligned. Cortor says, do you have a little pile of ash you can lay under it? I could, yeah. We have the whole texture though, so like technically this is a unique texture. We should be able to draw whatever we want on the texture. Hazite Pri, hello and welcome, says, what studio is it? The studio is Eastshade Studios. That's the developer. But maybe you mean what engine? This is Unity. All right. So I don't even think there's a light in here. Maybe there doesn't even need to be. I don't want to check out this file. It's an 8192, but in theory, I should just be able to darken that. I don't want to check it out. It's so big. It feels dirty to check it out. But I've got to do something. So what I can do for now is just grab all this stuff. I can duplicate those faces and push them in and partition them out. And then I can flood fill this. There we have some kind of face, and I'll just lift it a little. And I will make a cut here and a cut here. Basically, I'm making a decal because I don't want to, that texture is so big, and I know Jacqueline's going to check it out again at some point, and it's just like multiple gigabytes every single time we check it in. It's kind of stupid to be worrying about that, but I do. I mean, we only have so much server space. And if I'm going to check it out just to make a little change to the soot here, I don't know, feels bad. Okay, now I'm going to change the material on this to the shadow or the radial, and then I will unwrap this and we'll put it on that radial decal. Here we go. I'll just sort of move these verts to the corners so that we know we're getting the whole decal. We'll move this right to the middle because I know that this is right in the middle of where we're probably going to want our soot. So let's export that and see what we get. Oh, 1 second, guys. All right, sorry about that. Okay, let me catch up. Mondrek, hello. Welcome. If you're still around, do you reuse spine 2D rigging? Is there any tutorial / resources to learn how I can create beautiful 2D character rigs like Glimmerwick where I can reuse animations and swap items? There are definitely a bunch of spine tutorials on how to use skins is the magic word. In spine, they're called skins, which is basically just a way of swapping out the sprites that are mapped to any given rig. And we do use a lot of... Why can I can't open the spine application right now? We do use a lot of that on our, we call it our main rig. Anyone who can walk all shares a rig And we did use those. We did look at the tutorials on how to do skins. And it's not too complicated. But you kind of have to find your own way for what is going to work for your game. We've got the three-way rig. We have 3 different rigs, one for each angle, and here are all of our skins. So we have all sorts of skins. This is the player skin. Here they're just kind of naked, and I can pin this, and then we have all kinds of different hats and glasses, and then we have different outfits and stuff. Oops, that's a whole different character who's mapped to the rig. So here's a bunch of different outfits. And then we have to do one for every angle, and we have to repeat the animations for every angle too. It's a lot of work. I do actually have a video. By the way, Xeon Mage, thank you so much for the follow. And S Viato Slock, I really appreciate the follow. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. I've got a video here. Character pipeline. Here, this should help. My devlogs have so much stuff in them.
Listen, it's called.
Okay, so here's a link to paste it. Here's a link to a YouTube video that goes in depth on the high level overview of how we do our characters. We have kind of 2 character pipelines. I talk all about it in the video, but that's about as good as you would, I think, as I could do for describing how we make our characters. Because, you know, every game is so different. You kind of have to find your own way. But I hope that helps. Milan says, oh, is answering someone else. Very good. I think spine is if you are doing this kind of thing where you're doing skeletal 2D animation in Unity, Unity does have its own skeletal 2D animation system. I have not used it in years. We tried it out when we started working on Glimmerwick, which is actually 8 years ago. I think that I tried out the Unity skeletal animation, and I found spine to be so much better at the time that I thought that there's no way in heck we shouldn't use this middleware to do this. And spine has been a dream in general. It really is such a great piece of software, and the runtime is really good. It's just really polished. It's so polished. It's really polished, especially compared to how many games ship with it. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like a commercially battle tested software yet. Nonetheless, it really seems to be so production ready. It's remarkable. Choco Ted says, your Be Right Back screen looks awesome. Will your game look the same? Oh, yes. Yeah, that's our game. Let me do the MooBot there. If you want to check out our game, you can check out our Steam page for the game. That's our trailer. It's showing in the demo. Okay. Okay, so here is, we can do maybe Shadow Radial Dark. I'm going to version that off, and I'm going to call it like Reminiscing Room Soot or something. And then maybe we can do a textured. Yeah. I'm going to do a different material here. Okay. And I do want way more. So I'm going to get way more coverage here. And I'll push this way out as well. And that should make it cover a lot more. Here, I'll move those verts just sort of to the end or the outskirts of the circle. There we go. Okay, how does that look? And we should get a lot more coverage there on that that soot texture. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty bad. Jacqueline is definitely gonna have to draw. I mean, look at that. It's all stretched and stuff. That looks terrible. This is really quite pointless. You know what, guys? This is so stupid. I can't believe it. Just delete this. Delete the material. Let's delete the material and let's just do it the right way. Let's do it the right way. The way that we should have done it all along instead of wasting our time. I'm just going to check this thing out. We're probably going to have to move stuff around on the atlas anyway. So let's just bite the bullet and get it done. Sorry, I bumped the mic. Hopefully it wasn't too loud. Okay, cool. So I'll just go ahead and do that right now. There's the fireplace. I'll just add a new layer and I'll call it soot. I'll just start with a soft brush. Just go. So we just go black. I wonder if this is a separate layer. So the whole fireplace is in one group, which is nice. Unfortunately, that front edge is not a separate layer. Let's see if we can select it, because that would be really nice. We just select those bricks right there. Just do like a really low tolerance. Seems to be all pretty flat. I'll select all those bricks. And then grab all those in the middle there. I'll grab all these too. Okay. And then I don't want all the rest of this stuff, so I'm going to remove all that from the selection. I would say like to here. Actually, well, yeah. Remove all this from the selection. I will add these ones to the selection. I'll add these ones too, why not? And then I'm just going to Control J it, and we're just going to call this like fireplace front. And then put that above the soot. There we go. So now we can be free to add some more black texture to this. And it really should be texture. So just add some more black in here for the fire. And we probably just want to actually make this a mask with some kind of texture. So I'll go grab some kind of grunge texture out of the game. Choco Ted says, in the last stream, were not you working on the same room? Yes, I was. Yeah, it's going to take quite a few sessions, I think, to finish this thing. We have a lot more work to do on it. Go wash. This kind of looks like it could work. It's not grungy enough. This looks a little bit grungier. I'll open that. And then I will grab that. Could even do both. Stick that in there. And then I will desaturate it. And put all the values really low. So it should tile already. So I'll just tile it right here. And then I'll just rotate it a little. Oops. What did I do? I think I did something really bad because the whole thing lost contrast. Did I change the image type or something? Mode? Dude, I'm so scared. I saw the whole thing lose contrast. What did I do? Oh boy. What did I do? Let's turn this off and save. I just want to make sure I didn't ruin the entire file. So it's taking forever to save because it's such a darn big texture. And then I'll look in here and I'm just going to make sure it didn't lose a bunch of contrast. I clicked some stupid Photoshop button. Okay, it didn't lose a bunch of contrast, so I'm happy about that. All right, here we go. So this is just, we'll call this like soot. Oh, we already have one called soot. Okay, well, we'll call it soot. And then I'm just going to grab the mask we made and then mask it off there. Delete that. I'm going to unlink. And then we just want to put some more down here just to make sure that it gets the whole amount. Oh, that's not doing good. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Now we can kind of move this around. Don't really like the pattern that's forming, this streaky pattern, but at any rate, it should be a little bit more crunched toward the low ends. And of course, it's not going to be totally opaque, so I don't like this marbled streak that's happening. So I'm just going to sample from not all layers, but just the current layer and just try to get rid of this, that weird streak pattern that's happening there. It looks a little bit more like soot now. And get the dark stuff coming out over here in sort of an irregular pattern. I'm actually going to take out some of that. Okay. It's better than before anyway. And then I could maybe add just one more layer for like really dark stuff. Completely black. Just right where the fire goes right here, let's say. And in the corners. And then maybe up the back, because it really would be very, very blackened from the fire for sure. That looks better. Okay, and now I'll just knock that back a little bit because we don't like really to ever have complete black. That's going to look a lot better. Okay, let's save that. Master Agent Miyazaki, hello and welcome. Choco Ted says, your game works on potato PC because your textures are so high res. I wouldn't say it works on a potato PC, but it does definitely work on pretty low-end PCs. I would say that I would prefer if you have a video card, at least. I would say pretty much any PC with a video card is going to play Glimmerwick just fine. That looks a lot better. It looks weird because there's no actual fire there, so you're just seeing the glow. But I think it's going to look fine when you get in there. In fact, that yellow glow is probably unnecessary. I'm just going to deactivate it for now. We're just going to go with that orange glow. But we have no idea what it looks like until we walk in. So we'll walk in there, see how it's going. But the resolution of the texture doesn't really mean anything because an 8192, what is an 8192 compressed in memory? Reminiscing. This is something that it's a little bit more complicated than just, oh, you have a big texture. Okay, it's 32 megabytes. That's it. It's a super high res texture. And it's 32 megabytes. So is that going to fit in GPU memory? Yeah, it will. It's 32 megs. Ain't nobody has even an integrated graphics. Even if you don't have a video card, you easily have 32 megabytes. It's just about how much stuff you have. And in our case, it's just this one room. So it's actually kind of silly to worry about, oh, we better make this a 1024 just because textures are 1024. And you just have to kind of meet your game where it is, like, it's just the one room drawing. Just go ham. Why not? Who cares? Yeah, sure. Potato PC can put a 32 megabyte texture into memory. Also, the resolution of the texture has nothing to do with it's just a memory thing, right? It's not actually pushing the pixel fill rate or the draw calls or anything that actually makes your frame rate go down. It's just kind of a pass or fail. Do you have the memory or not? To a certain extent, it takes more CPU resources to load the texture and to remove the texture from memory. But other than that, once it's in memory, it doesn't really do anything. It's not creating a low frame rate. So texture size is not something that impacts frame rate very much. It's just whether you have the memory or not. My ATI Rage has 32 megs. Okay. So Koratora's ATI Rage will not be able to play Songs of Glimmerwick. I can confirm that. Let me catch up on here. Fosmos Studios, hello and welcome. His thoughts on vibe coding for game dev. Is that like an AI thing? Do you ever use AI for stuff? No, I don't. Don't ever use AI for stuff. I'm a bit of a Luddite. I think AI is potentially going to destroy the world. And not from the singularity or anything like that. Not anything science fiction, but just from the general removing of important, the lowering of quality of everything, because everybody will be using so much AI, everyone will be making so much garbage shit, and then the removing of jobs, and then the removing of skill, and then just this sort of general degradation of art and content and everything. And then all the while, the richest corporations will be getting richer for a while, and everyone else will be getting poorer, and everything will just suck more, way more, for almost everyone, like 99%. That's what I think will happen with AI. I think it's going to really suck. I don't think society is set up to, if it does give us productivity, it doesn't seem like society is set up to actually let that productivity benefit everybody. Because right now, it's just going to hurt most people. And our art is going to suck more. Our products are going to suck more. Our software is going to suck more. I'm an AI quality skeptic. I think it makes very bad things. I think it has the intelligence of a monkey. And it's just generally dog shit. And if you're trying to make high quality stuff, I think that AI is only useful in very, very, very specific and limited ways. Definitely not vibe coding. But I also don't write that much code. But I'm pretty sure Jenny doesn't use any AI in her code. You can fit 32 megs into some CPU caches nowadays. I am nostalgic about the old video cards. ATI Rage sounds... I remember that was probably some of the first video cards when I was coming online and being interested in computers. I remember that name. Agent Miyazaki of the same mind, environmentally and culturally. AI, the death of culture, and cheap RAM. Yeah, the death of so many things. AI really is already hurting my life in so many direct and tangible ways. I get more spam email, and the spam email is targeted. It's like it pretends to be a person. It pretends to know me. It's like, hey, I read your latest blog post about X thing, and it like literally cites my blog post, and it talks about things that I wrote about, and it sort of like catfishes me into thinking that it was a real targeted email. This is happening all the time now. I'm getting all these cold pitches written by ChatGPT or whatever, and it sucks. It makes me so angry. I hate it. I hate not knowing if it's a freaking chatbot or not. Like, it's like people are trying to talk to you now and trying to sell you stuff, and you don't know if it's a chatbot. It's making the world so shitty. AI is a champion for tech debt. The layers of slop it produces and piles on your project are not worth it. Exactly. Yeah. I think AI makes the easy stuff in game development a little bit easier, and it makes the hard stuff way, way harder. So it helps you with the easy stuff, but does not help you with the hard stuff, and actually makes the hard stuff harder because you create so much garbage in your game that you don't actually understand. Because it was written by, you know, something that crawled the web and put a bunch of snippets of other people's code bases into your code. And I think the hard parts are actually all that matter, because the easy parts are easy. Who cares? They're easy. You know, you're not gonna have an issue with them. It's the hard parts that are gonna stop you from shipping a good game. So I think that you should do everything you can to make the hard parts easy, even if it makes the easy parts harder. If it makes the hard parts easier, then you should prioritize it above all else. And AI code does the opposite of that, as far as I can tell right now. It's unkind towards monkeys. Yeah, that's possible. It's possible that it's actually less intelligent than monkeys. We need to keep the AI away from the world leaders if World War III breaks out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's crazy time. Crazy time to be alive. Crazy time. Crazy time we're living in. Okay, so let me do reminiscing room. Let's turn that off and let's walk into the reminiscing room. At this point, I don't think I've gone a single stream without talking about AI at least once. Oh, hell yeah. 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 That's the stuff. This room is dope. I want the maybe window. The windows are kind of a little bit dark maybe, but you know what? It's okay because we're going to probably put glow on the windows and that will brighten them up. But they feel a little bit dark right now. Actually, we have a whole lighting pass to do. But first pass for this room, let's put some God rays in it. Put some God rays coming in through the windows, and maybe some dust floating around in the room would be really cool. We have so many things to do though. Like all these little bits and bobs need to be interactive. It's like so much stuff we need to do. Small pile of firewood. We actually have one. It's just really hard to see. I think I need to put a different material on it so it's a little darker. Yeah, AI is very depressing. It makes me really sad. MK Geraldo says, as a gamer, I'm not as bothered with people using AI to help code like I am with replacing artists with generic slop. Oh, and thank you for the compliment on the room. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I don't know why I'm not quite as bothered as AI making code as I am it making art. I guess because art is expression. It feels, there's something hollow feeling about sort of imitated expression, that it's not actually coming from a person, and you know their artist journey and their passions and their interests and their love and their emotions and stuff. So something about AI making code doesn't make me feel as existential. But I also am an AI quality skeptic, so I think that AI makes very bad code. And yeah, like I said, I think it helps you do something really fast, but it will kill you when it comes to late stage complexity, when your project becomes complex and you need to be able to debug and you need to be able to append systems and stuff. I just don't think it is good at managing all that. It can only be as good as the code that it's crawling. And the code that it's crawling is just random shit on the internet. So It seems to be sort of an upper limit of, and it's not only random shit on the internet, but random shit on the internet that's not designed for your specific use case. So it seems to me that it would be a bad idea. I mean, many of the hard problems in game dev are already solved for us in our game engine. So like rendering and all that stuff, the way that audio loads into memory and plays, like so much stuff is already solved. So the stuff that you're actually coding is really, it should be, hopefully, mostly just the gameplay layer. So if it's just the gameplay layer, then pretty much all your code is going to be so specific to your game. So you really don't, I don't know if you want to be just grabbing bits of code from the internet that are not, made with your game in mind. So I think the most precise way to design and create your game is code is a great way to tell. It's like you want to make a game, you need to tell a computer how you want your game, right? As a game designer. The way we do that is with computer code. That is the language of how to tell a computer what to do. So if you're just creating, if you're using AI, you're just creating this extra layer of language that actually doesn't need to be there. Like, okay, you're actually going to say it in English and then it's going to turn it into code. Well, why don't you just learn code and tell it in code? That would be better. It's like you want to have a conversation with someone. So and they speak French and they don't speak English, and you speak English and don't speak French. So like this French person, they also speak Italian. So you go find an Italian person who speaks English, and then you tell them what you want to say to the French person so that they can, translate from English to Italian, from Italian to French. And if you want to have a life with this person, which is game dev for me, I want to have a life making games, it would be much better to just learn French and just be able to speak to them directly. And that's how I feel about computer code. Code is just telling the computer what to do. You want to just be able to directly tell the computer what to do. That's what I feel about it. Anyway, oh my God, shut up about AI. Enough about AI. Let me catch up with chat. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Agent Miyazaki says, saw a study where they tested if rats had been taught to drive small cars, would pick the cars for enjoyment even if the path was longer and more tedious. To get to the tiny car versus directly going to the food, all rats picked the cars. Okay. I can't believe they taught rats to drive cars. That is amazing. They would pick the cars for enjoyment even if the path was longer and more tedious. So what does it say? Let me try to parse that. Okay, so driving the car took longer. So they're driving the car even though they could have just walked there. Is that what the study was showing? Vosma Studio says, would you be able to do the real-time shadows in true 2D? No, I don't think you would. Yeah, you'd have to do some kind of fake shadow mojo. Yeah, the beauty of Glimmerwick is that it is like has so much 3D element in it that we can capitalize on so many 3D techniques. That just make it easy because it's just like it's kind of 3D. The game is kind of 3D. Things AI should do: translation for communication, UV unwrapping, medical science. Yeah, but UV unwrapping is so creative. I know this might just be me because I'm like a mad scientist of UV unwrapping, and I've literally made crazy stuff. Can I show you? I'm not going to be able to find a screenshot of this actually. Shade Lindau door. There's no way somebody screenshotted this. It's just the literal door. No, we're just getting a bunch of screenshots of the. I have made some amazing doors with UV unwrapping. Okay, this is my blog. So anyway, I have made some super cool doors out of like doing crazy stuff with the UVs that I literally did not like design necessarily that door, but just being able to manipulate the UVs to create like cool mirrored effects and stuff. I made really cool doors in eShade. A lot of the doors are using these crazy UV tricks. So Don't even UV unwrapping is not necessarily as mindless as one might think it could be. I think for character creation, it's pretty mindless, but for environment art, UV unwrapping has some really serious implications for like even like the brickwork. If you want the bricks to like line up with the arches, and if you want the bricks to meet nicely at the corners and stuff, there's actually a lot that goes into it. I think it's actually one of the most important parts about doing architecture. Code is expression. Okay, so there, yeah, I mean, there's another way to look at it. Coming from a programmer who started out with music for a long time, thus I hate AI being allowed to code. Okay, so maybe it's just because I'm an artist, I feel that way more, but maybe if I was more of a coder, I would feel code was more expressive and, you know, I would be more bothered by it. So that's very interesting. It does definitely seem to be the more you know about a particular discipline, the more bothered you are that AI does it. And maybe we're all just very shallow minded and we're all just, you know, basically upset that someone's going to take our job. I don't know. It's really hard to separate my emotions about that. Just because I've poured so much of my life getting good at art, it's hard for me to separate that, you know, from, okay, is AI actually, you know, killing expression? I'm pretty sure it is, but anyway, okay. Smart thing to do is learn how to do it. Yeah, for sure. Calculable snail making jokes. Okay. All right. So it would be cool to, yeah, let's maybe do a little bit of lighting on the reminiscing room. So let's see. Reminiscing room. Testing. Okay. No. All right, so we could maybe steal some of the, let's see if the library, let's go back to the good old library. Let's see if it has God rays for us, since we're stealing everything from the library. I think that the God rays might be modeled into the actual, well, we definitely can copy this glow, but let me see if these God rays are. Oh, no, okay, sun shaft, cool. So we can just take these. Let's copy that and go back to the reminiscing room. And paste. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, we don't want to go too overboard with this. And do we want to shine it left? I think we want to shine it left. Yeah, they should be kind of subtle. And I'm going to keep them kind of going totally horizontal like this because I don't want the player necessarily to clip through them a lot. But we'll see how it looks. Got this one, and then I'm going to rotate it just so we get sort of different look out of the God ray. And then I'm just going to float this God ray over the whole desk. Align it with the window there. Oh, maybe rotate it like that. And let's start with that. Let's go back to the library. Oh, you know what we should do as well? We have a spotlight, and I don't necessarily know if we have the ambient light, which is just this massive light. It's sort of applying this even lighting to the entire room. Got the spotlight. Could maybe make the spotlight just like kind of be the windows here. We could do this sort of thing, where the windows are just kind of casting light in here. Make it a little bit wider. And then we take the ambient light, and it's already white, so that's good. And I'll just stick it right in the middle there. And then we just want to make this much bigger and then potentially much more powerful. Feels a little cold. The spotlight is already quite warm. Might want the ambient lights. I don't want to make the ambient light warmer because then I feel like just everything's going to be warm. Here we go. I want the ambient light maybe to be more on the ground level. I'll maybe move it over to the left, just sort of to give a little bit of a gradient to the room. I'm wondering if we want a light cookie. We could do a light cookie instead of the spotlight, because the spotlight doesn't seem to be... I mean, we're getting a little bit out of it. This is one trick with lighting I think a lot of people don't understand in 3D is that you don't, like, you'll notice the spotlight is coming vertically. The window is obviously, this would be a much more slanted angle, but it doesn't matter. Like you want just the light to go where you want it. You don't have to make it physically correct. Nobody would, it doesn't look wrong when the light angles don't quite match up. It's kind of a weird fallacy that, like, if you have a more physical idea about how light works, but that's not the kind of thing that makes light look wrong or not. It's more about like whether you have contact shadows and whether you have shadows at all, whether you're darkening things that will occlude light, sort of ambient occlusion and stuff. But you really don't have to. You really don't have to make all of the light angles be physically accurate. So these God rays are so subtle I can barely see them. So I think they should be a little bit stronger, but that generally looks pretty cool. I like the lighting there. I do think those windows need way more of a glow. So let's see if we can get that done. Yeah, I would say like light kind of flows, or at least just the general idea that light is coming through the window and that, you know, sort of have brighter spots of the room where the light is coming. But the angle of the shadows and stuff doesn't need to line up. In East Shade, everything was baked at high noon. And the high noon in East Shade was like a northern hemisphere high noon, so the light was sort of glancing angle, and all of our GI was baked at that time, and then that it just uses that GI. The whole idea of Enlighten, that middleware that Unity was using for a while, of like dynamic GI. Fuck dynamic GI. Like fuck dynamic GI. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Nobody would ever be able to know. Nobody could ever tell that the bounce of the GI was bouncing in the wrong direction. It's like, it's so dumb. It's so much like, that's why they got rid of it, because nobody used it. Because you're baking all this crazy data so that a sun can move around in the sky and bounce light in different directions. It's so pointless. Nobody cares. It looks exactly the same if you just baked it at high noon or whatever. You know, pick a light, pick a light angle that looks beautiful and then just use that one, and then just change the brightness of the sun and the color temperature of the sun and the color of the ambient light and everything, and good to go. Okay, there. So now we have more God rays because they were just really hard to see. And then I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go back into the library, and I'm going to get that glow. We had some glow cards that I can use. So I'll copy that. Kind of a purple glow, and I think that will probably look good. Oh man, don't even, I know two things I always talk about every stream. That's dynamic GI and AI. I'll spare you guys on the, find the strength within myself to not talk about the dynamic GI. I was talking about Enlighten before, but now I'm talking about like the SSGI and other actual real-time GI. Oh boy. Oh boy. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's. It's like now Godot is doing, like, they seem to be putting more of their resources into dynamic, like, you know, SSGI and volumetric GI and all kinds of real-time GIs than the freaking light baker. The light baker is what anybody who's actually making a game would use. Only a hobbyist who's not making a game would use one of these other ones. Anyone making a game is going to bake it. It's just better in every way. So much better. Okay, let's save that and see if that looks nice. Run into the room. Let's see. Okay, let me catch up here. Purple glow because of the purple rug. Just gonna see what the purple glow looks like. It might just look good. This is another thing about light. I feel like the colors can be messed with a lot. Like you can't even really tell it's purple here, right? Corator says, I have dynamic GI issues. Does that count? Well, what does it mean? Zons, hello, welcome back, says, I have a question. How did you come up with the idea for this game? Could you mention a bit about the ideation process for this story development and so forth? The idea for the game was Jacqueline's. She just told me in a coffee shop in 2016 that, oh my God, you know, it'd be so cool. Is like a kind of like a farming sim, like Stardew Valley, except you're at wizard school. It was really that simple. And of course, it's not so much of a farming sim anymore, but that's basically it. That was the pitch for the game. And then in terms of the story and all that stuff, I don't know. Jacqueline is always just working on her tome. Maybe you'd have to ask her. Let me look at okay, that one is in a perfect spot. That one could just move a little bit more inside here. And I think it maybe could be scaled down a little bit. Like, it's going to be hard to, I'll just do this one because I don't want to do the other one because I'm not going to be able to copy the transforms back. So that's awesome. Okay. That looks really cool. Yeah, so the windows look brighter now and has a bit more depth in the room. I'm going to put little dust flecks too, but that looks really good. I'm going to copy that transform and then I should be able to paste it back. Oh, gastroint. Okay, I see. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, dust flecks should look awesome. I don't know if we have dust flecks in the game already. I can't think of an interior that had dust flecks. Let's paste the component values there. So whatever we did to that one, we're going to want to do the same thing to this one on the right. So there we go. Maybe we'll make this one just a little bit smaller. Move it up. Let me see if I can find some dust. Actually, the whole room could probably be brighter. So the ambient color, I will increase. And it actually has a fog color, which I don't know if it's being used, but I'm going to turn that to 0. And don't think you're going to be able to see this room at night. Let's try it. Let's see if we have any dust. So we have a dust particle, but I don't know if it's actually the dust that we want. Oh, you know, I think that we do have dust in the... I think we have dust in the potion classroom. I bet this is the same dust. So these are white dusts. I think I want like golden dusts. Little bits of golden dust. Oh, I don't need too many of them. Let's just stick it right in the middle of the room there. Move it down a little bit. Save. Let's see if we can even see him. Okay. Oh, you know, I keep forgetting to update the fireplace needs darker kindling as well. Yeah, I can see the dust flecks. Seems like they're moving pretty slow. I wonder if they should be moving a little faster. Let me just test if they look good moving faster. Actually, maybe too saturated. I'm going to knock back the saturation a little bit. And I think I could speed up the simulation to like, let's try just really fast, like 5. Okay, I feel like that could look better. Not 5, but let's go like 2. Simulation speed 2. Yeah, look at all that depth. This looks really, really good. I'm really happy with this room. I think Jacqueline's going to love it too. Look, in the God rays. Come on, get out of town. Okay, so dust. We know what to do to the dust. Let's take a look at the spotlight. And I'm going to try increasing the intensity of the spotlight. So the spotlight is actually making the windows brighter, which is interesting. But the spotlight seems, so we had it at 2.3, which seems pretty muted now. Let's go 3.3. That looks pretty dope. And it looks like maybe we can knock back some of that warmth. We don't want it to be, it looks maybe better a little bit more in the sort of white desaturated direction. So I'm going to copy that color. And this fire is way too big. I think that fire is like gonna burn down the freaking house. So I'll scale down the fire. I couldn't be happier with that. That looks really, really fantastic. I think the God rays, they're not like too over the top. They're just kind of subtle, but they're very much there. And those dust flecks look pretty sweet too. Yeah, that's really coming together. Oh, Jacqueline's gonna be so happy with that. Okay. I have a number of ideas, so many ideas. I got to keep them all in my mind while this thing leaves play mode. So first of all, back to the reminiscing room. Let's redo all the changes we just did in play mode. So back to the reminiscing room. The dust, we want it to be just a little bit closer to white and a little bit darker too. They were just too bright, I think. The simulation speed, we went to 2 and that felt pretty good. The other thing was that the spotlight could really tolerate being more powerful. Let's go up to 3.3. So I think that those are all the changes we made. Now I want to change the fireplace. So this fire, is there 2 fires? Oh my God, there's 2 fires on top of each other. So I just want to scale down these 2 fires significantly, so it's not such a raging pyre. And then the firewood needs to be, oh, they're already as dark as we already have the darkest version of it, which is crazy. I think that the soot is too dark. So I'm going to go to this and maybe just take the eraser and set it into soft mode and just erase a little bit of that there. And I'm going to knock back down to like 66. And then the actual soot here, I'm going to knock that down as well. I'm also going to take the bricks and put them above. Look at that. So now we get the brick texture in there and it looks sooty. I think that that's going to work much better. I wish I could maybe grab the bricks off the floor too. Oh yeah, I can. I think we should grab some of these and maybe not all of them, but some of them. I think this would look nice. And then Control J them out and put them at the top. Maybe one down from the bottom. Oh, look, they unfortunately got a little tattered in the process, which is sad. They didn't pull a perfect mask, which is a bummer. So that's making them look a little bit low res. Maybe if I lower the tolerance to like 3, maybe I'll get a cleaner, maybe even 2, I don't know. Maybe I'll get a cleaner. Yeah, it's looking like I'm getting a cleaner mask. So I'm just gonna reselect all these bricks again. I want a nice, clean. Selection, and then Control J it. Then I will put it higher, and then let's see these other nasty ones. Let's delete those. Oh, it's still kind of gross. I don't know why we're getting that, but I'm gonna lighten these up, and then I will knock back that significantly. But just having that texture in there looks really good, right? Because that looks just kind of flat and no detail, and then pulling back some of the bricks, I feel like gives it a lot more depth. And I think that's gonna look a lot better. Cool, really happy with that. Excellent. Okay, oh right, it's gonna take forever to save. This is the most massive file in the entire world. It still hasn't decided to start saving yet. I don't know exactly why it won't save. Oh, it was, okay. Because we didn't have a change, that's why. It had already saved. Just waiting for that. There we go. Okay, much better. Now, we should be able to see the wood logs a little bit better. The fire is smaller, which is good. And yeah, that's great. So we need to start separating these things out. I'm going to make a Trello card for myself. I already have this rem room objects, and then I've got head into, here we go. And I'm just going to attach all these images that Jacqueline sent me. Cool. I kind of wish they were in the description, but that's fine. So first is, we need all of these different parts to be interactive. So this is actually a lot of work because we need to move them all into their own space on the atlas, but we can at least start with the ones that we already have, like the broom. So the broom actually should already be its own separate object. So I will make it interactive. Interactive, right? Come on, there we go. Mesh renders to glow is this one. And then there's going to be a read. Is it readable item? Yes. And we haven't made the readables for all this, but I'm just going to put a random one in here. I'll just put boat advert for all of them just to make sure that the readable is working. So, oh, this is actually not the thing we want. I think it's going to be like something on interact, something about like UI, custom UI on interact. That's what it is. And the custom UI that we want is the boat advert. Here we go. Okay. And the open clip, I don't know, we can just have like a paper one or something. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so that's one thing. Actually, what I would like to do maybe is just write out all the different ones, because we have one for each person. So this one's Clover. I will make a bullet list. Here we go. Bullet list. Clover, Fern, Azot, Caudron, Davin, Mary / Antoine, Mel, Nessa, Amka. Amka will have a note on the desk. Okay. We don't have that yet. We have one Arthur, Chris, Celia. This is Spoiler City, by the way, people. Dale, Acorn. Yeah. There's just no way to keep the dev stream spoiler free. If I just would have I just would not be able to stream. So if you're more interested in the development process and you don't feel like you're being spoiled, I have heard from people that it actually makes the game more fun for them. I've heard from a lot of people that they get to see glimpses of it being made, and then they run into those parts of the game, and they actually feel like a deeper connection with it. They're like, oh, cool, I remember, I saw this part being made, and I know a little bit about how it was made, that they like it better. But I also can totally understand if you're like, no, I don't want anything spoiled, then unfortunately, this is not the stream for you. But that's totally cool as well. If you are excited about the game and you don't want anything spoiled, and you don't watch this stream because of that, I love you. I still love you, because you're going to play our game, and that makes me really happy. And I love people who love our games and want to play them. Let me catch up with chat real quick, not too much. Agent Miyazaki says, I love seeing the magic sauce making. All right. Korator says, I certainly do. I torture myself over values for a while, then playtest, and I'm like, wow, someone really worked at this. Yeah, I'm definitely a value pusher. Okay, so Clover is done. Let's see. How do you do a strike through? It's Control-Shift-S. So let's move on to Fern. Fern is on the Ottoman. Let me go see that follow. Okay, we're cooking now. I'm excited about that. We are cooking. Hell yeah. Calculable Snail, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate that. Navasha, hello. Good to see you. Navasha voices Clover in the game. Oratora says, high watermark for someone to reach for. I don't even remember what was said that we're referring to. Okay, so let's go Fern. Let's find this little book that's sitting on the Ottoman. So that's going to be an interactive item. And so all the interactive items here need to be moved off onto their own spot on the atlas. Fortunately, they're already separated out, which brings me great joy. So there's that. And okay, this one is very precise placement. whatever, I'm just going to move it. We'll figure it out. Let's put this right here. So I don't want to do too many at once because I'm just going to forget them and get confused and stuff. So I just want to move them off on the Atlas. I've saved this big old freaking Photoshop file. Wait for it to save here. And then we're going to knock these out right now. So let's go into Blender. And so here are the two we did. Gorgeous. I'm just going to grab both of these and move this up 1 meter, 1 unit. And now we have, we'll grab both these meshes and move them up 1. Actually, you know what would have been really smart if I wasn't so stupid? It would have been smarter if I did it in a less stupid way. There we go. So now I just copied them. And now I'm going to make their name. So Reminiscing Room, this one is Cadron, right? Is that right? Let's go back here. Yes, Cadron and Fern. So we got to do Reminiscing Room Cadron is the one on the couch. So I'm just getting the names right here. And this one, Reminiscing Room Fern. Okay. And then let's mark those, both those for export. And what I need to do now is once we update this texture sheet, we're going to see this book disappear. So voila. And now we just want a little plain. I think I am just going to like cut a bit of mesh right here where I know the book will go. And I'm not going to change anything about it. That should be good. Okay, let's cut here. There we go. Oh, we might need a little bit more there. Let's cut a little bit more. Okay, there. And now we'll just grab those faces. What is he doing, people wonder? What on earth is he doing? I'm just cutting out these faces because I just know that these faces, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push them forward along their normal ever so slightly. I know that these faces, if I stick it right here on the mesh, it's just going to like wrap to it like a glove. And then I'm going to move this portion of I'm going to move the UVs onto the book. Okay, so I've done something else stupid. I just realized I really should have just left these on top, but it's okay. It's not too late. So I'm going to make them a little bit smaller here. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller here. And I'm going to move this back down exactly 1 meter. And look at that. The book is sitting right on top of our couch. And it's just perfectly mapped. I can cut a little bit of this excess off because we don't need that. I don't want that sampling into texture that we don't need. And now that book is just sitting there. And if I export, we should just be able to drop this object right on top of the couch, and then it will light up. The whole point of this is so that the player can mouse over just this particular portion and just that thing will light up. We don't want the whole chair lighting up because then people think that, of course, the chair is interactive when it's the book that the player is interacting with. Okay, let me catch up with chat. Happy to have you lurking, Navasha. Oh, Clover is the high water mark. Absolutely. Yeah, Clover, Navasha absolutely nailed it. We had so many people auditioning, and you know, Clover's a very particular kind of humor, and she nailed all of the. She delivered all the lines like she really understood the jokes, and that's important because this game was self-directed. We didn't like direct everyone. That would have literally required hundreds of hours of work, which would have been cool, would have been fun, but we were relying on the voice actor's own intuition of how they were reading the lines, like that they were kind of envisioning the line. Not exactly the way that we envisioned it, but they need to at least kind of understand the spirit of the line. And so we end up casting voice actors. Of course, we want them to be great at acting, but we also need them to be very intuitive Actually, part of the skill I feel like is knowing what we meant with the line, and Navasha was really good at that. Because Clover is like, was it like 4,000 words or something? Clover's had a properly massive script. Okay, so I cut all the faces here, and now I'm just going to delete that. Now we've got just the one face of just the book. And in theory, we just move this down 1 meter. Perfect. Now we've got a little bit of Z fighting. So I just move this up. There we go. And now just that should be interactive. Cool. Okay. Fern. So let me export that. We should have the two new ones, Caudron and Fern. So there we've got our books disappeared, and now we can add in our mesh. First for Caudron here. Hey Ryan Winchy, welcome. Okay, there's Caudron's book, and I will add a mesh collider to it. Okay, let's do convex. There, it has a little mesh. It's groovy. Just want to make sure that the mesh, if we do want to make this chair sittable, which I imagine we probably will. We'll see what Jacqueline thinks, if she thinks that we should let players sit in the chair. We just really want to make sure that that book is very easily interactive, which means that we'll probably want to push that convex mesh off a little bit. And the way to do that would be just to make sure that we really push these faces out. So if I push the faces out, well, that's going to create a little bit of, yeah, that's going to warp it a little. Is this thing rotated? Let's see, local. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. So what we can do is just move this on its object. We can move this in object space to like -0.02. -0.02. And this, in theory, if I save this and export this, pop back into Unity, should make no difference to the player. It should look exactly the same. So it's not technically like sitting on that armrest, but it should look exactly like it is because we moved it exactly along the angle that the player's looking. Look at that. We've got a hole in the book, folks. We can't have that. So I think the way to fix this little tiny hole in the book is to duplicate, this is Caudron magazine. Let's just duplicate Caudron's magazine a couple times. And then I don't want to mess with the aliasing on the edge, although it looks like it actually could afford to be a little bit thicker and bolder. Maybe we do want to mess with the aliasing on the edge. Let's save that. Look at that. It's thinning out. We're losing it. Oh, right. Okay. Now that it's saved, Unity will have to import it. It's very large. There we go. Yeah, it's a little bit like crackly, but I think that it's so small on screen. I think it's going to be fine. I also think that we need like a drop shadow underneath it, because otherwise I think it's going to be hard. I mean, it just doesn't really look like it's on the sofa very well. So I think the way that we're going to do that is make a new material, reminiscing interior text shadow. Hello, Warwick. Welcome to the stream. Okay, then we're going to copy that material name. We're going to go back into Blender and we're going to grab that mesh and I'm going to duplicate the mesh and then move it like 0.02. 0.01. And then what I'll do is I'll just scale it up a little, maybe. And then give it that material, that new material. And then I think I can move it like this way and down a little bit. And we'll see how that looks, but that should have the effect. First of all, it's going to double it. But once we fix this material, so now it looks like a double book. But if we change this into a shadow material, wizard shadow, and then just darken the crap out of it. Whoa, that's not what we wanted to do. No, what did I do? I renamed the wrong one. No, 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 no. That's not what I wanted to do. Undo. Cut out. This one is supposed to be shadow. So this one we'll rename. Oh boy, this is scary. This one is supposed to be shadow. And then this one will rename back. Work Pro says, I started learning some 3D modeling fundamentals. All right. Exciting stuff. Glad you're starting the journey to 3D modeling. Very exciting. I remember learning 3D modeling myself at the beginning. I just couldn't get enough. It was the best thing ever. So I hope you are as jazzed as I was. Okay, so, oops, yeah, there we go. This should be, oh, damn it. Okay. Damage control. We forgot to make a new material out of this. There we go. Now, hopefully we've got it. Okay, export. Now that I've confused the heck out of Unity with that little name swap thing, I'm sure everything is going to be broken. So now, okay. Yeah, we've gone and fucked this up pretty bad. This sucks. This sucks. Ah, we really messed it up. Let me delete that material. Just delete it all together. Okay, now we got a bunch of broken things. It says missing material. And I think that's just because they need to re-export. So let me just set them all to export to cube. Just make sure. Ah, damn it. Come on. So one of these is not writable. I'm going to figure out which one. Okay. We found one of these is not writable. It's either the reminiscing room table or the reminiscing room ottoman. So I will find you and I will check you out. So help me God, I will find you and I will check you out. It's the ottoman, you bastard. Check this thing out. Okay. To cube. Exports. What about you guys? You guys all checked out? Export. Okay, it worked. Cube, export. Okay. Everybody exported. These should all update. God, what a disaster I made. Okay, now we have that material called reminiscing interior shadow. So let's just change that to shadow material, and then we'll change the texture to our reminiscing room texture. There we go. And now we just can darken it. If we go all the way black, it's just going to be black like that. And then we lower it. There, see, it's a shadow. I knew it would work. Just took time. And now we'll just reduce the opacity until it's kind of subtle. And we could put the shadow in the texture, but that's going to be like hard to line up perfectly. So hopefully this works fine. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's keep going. Come on, let's rock. Let's rock. Let's go here and let's do the same thing to this one. The ottoman needs a cat on it, to be honest. I suppose it does. But that implies that the player character has a cat after whatever room that this is. I don't know. I'm allergic to cats, so I can't really get that into cats, unfortunately. I do like cats, but in general I don't like. We don't have any pets, and we will never get a pet. Ever, ever, ever. I am so happy we don't have a pet. We have a child, and the thought of using what precious and scarce free time I have taking care of another animal, an animal, not a person, makes me so disgusted. I cannot fathom it. I can't fathom it. I can't fathom waking up at 6 a.m. to take a dog out so that it can piss. I just can't. Not when my kid woke up at 2 in the morning because, you know, he had a nightmare or whatever. I cannot fathom an extra layer of complexity on my life for an animal. I just can't. And I know other people can because they love them so much, but that is just not me, unfortunately. So every time I hear a dog bark outside, I get a little bit of dopamine because I hear the dog bark and I'm like, I'm so happy that's not my dog. I'm so happy that I don't have to take care of that dog right now. Oh man. Sorry, dog people and cat people. If you have a child, it's like 6 pets rolled into one. We had a dog for a couple weeks, and because before we had a child, Jacqueline wanted a pet, and so we brought home a dog. It wasn't a puppy. It was this dog was a couple years old. He was a retired breeding dog that we purchased from someone, and he hated me. He really hated me. He didn't even want me to be near Jacqueline. If I would give her a hug, he would be upset. I mean, it wasn't like a big dangerous dog, but like this dog would go bananas. He like weirdly attached to her and hated me. And that was so horrible. And I was like taking care of this dog that hated me so much. And it was just a real nightmare. The dog was really bad for us. And so we thought that was a terrible home for the dog and terrible life for us with that dog. So we took the dog back. And that was such a harrowing experience for me. It was great because now I can fully appreciate my life without a dog. It's awesome. Having a kid is really hard, but I love my kid, and I didn't love that dog, so I don't give a crap about that dog. Okay, fern. So we replace this. So we got to add that fern. But I know most people do love their dog. We'll do a mesh collider. Maybe a box collider on it. It's going to be better, actually. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, so on these two, we can add a interactive and a custom UI on interact. And for both of them, we'll put like a paper sounds. Just gonna make sure we have the right shape. Well, first of all, let me do that boating advertisement just because that's just gonna be our sort of placeholder. And here we go. We've got the meshed render to glow. Okay, cool. And we have that mesh collider. Let's double check that it's the right shape. Yeah, it's looking good. Okay, cool. So those are interactive now. Hell yeah. Moving right along. We've got 2 more. So I'm gonna cross those out. It's Control-Shift-5. Oops, that didn't work. Control-Shift, oh, it's Control-Shift-S. So Fern and Cadron are Control-Shift-S. Now Azat is going to be that plant. That one should be easy. We already have the texture separated. So I will duplicate this dummy object and we'll go -1. Make it a little bit smaller, like 0.1. Actually, I will go 0.5 here. And then I'll do cursor to active and we'll add a plane. Scale down the plane. I'll chop the plane in half. I'll delete half the plane. Actually, I do want it to be a perfect square, so I will delete the other half like this. And then I'll just move this over. I'll set this to 0 so it's right in the middle. And then I'm going to rotate this 60 degrees so it's perfectly facing the camera. Actually, that's going to make it harder to place. I think I'm actually going to go full 90 on this. And then I can look from the camera and project it onto that little plant. So here we go. So it looks like it needs to be a little bit taller. If I don't mess with the scale, it should actually be exactly the same scale that we projected the rest of the room at, which is sweet. Because then I'll know that this plant is perfectly scaled to how Jacqueline drew it in the texture. Okay, here we go. Then it talks. Yeah, and that's the other thing is kids can talk and they can tell you stuff. Children and pets are wildly similar. They kind of do feel similar, except my baby boy can count to 20 and he knows all his colors and he has very interesting thoughts. They say that dogs are as smart as a 2-year-old. Let me tell you, maybe they're as smart as some 2-year-olds, but ain't no dog in the world is as smart as my 2-year-old. Not even close. Not even close. My 2-year-old made the observation that he knows the days of the week, and he was looking at a calendar and he was saying Saturday, or he went Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he was going through them. And then he thought for a little bit, and then he went Saturn. He started with Saturday, Saturn, and he went through all the planets and made the realization that Saturday lined up with Saturn, and Sunday lined up with and Sunday lined up with what was the other planet? With the sun, maybe, was it? I don't remember. But it was crazy. Okay. Calculable snail, sorry. All right, yeah, you better go to bed. Thank you for dropping by. Yeah, he's got a brain. He's very language oriented. And he knows his alphabet and stuff. And he says so much stuff. He just talks all day. Okay, there we go. So we just need to call this, what is this? Let's go Azat. So reminiscing room Azat. Yeah, I know parents bragging about their kids is incredibly insufferable. But it's fun. You're just proud. It's weird. Shade's newest employee. Oh boy. It's definitely the least productive employee. There's never been an employee that has reduced production efficiency more than Shade's newest employee. Calculable Snail says, my sister's dog believes that the sliding door is its enemy. It is affronted by its decision to close, but never gets angry at the human that closes it. That is so weird. Sleep well, Calculable Snail. Okay, so here we go. We've got this one. Now we got to do the plant. So Where does the plant go? I don't remember where the plant, I think it went in the windowsill. I think it went right there. Yeah, it must have. So let me bring that in. I'll just duplicate this mesh and then, yeah, we'll leave both those materials on there and then we'll go Azot. Here we go. And then this render has more materials. Okay, yeah, so we'll solve that in a minute. It's no problem. Because we actually do want a little bit of a shadow under this plant. That'd be perfect. We'll just duplicate it like this, move it down a little bit like that. And I'll scale it down. Well, here we go. Invert the selection and then make a little shadow, little drop shadow underneath this. Let's bevel this. Okay. Go down a little bit, scale it down. Yeah, this is going to be the drop shadow for the plant. And then we'll put it on our, whoop, this doesn't have the right texture. It's going to be reminiscing room text, and this one is going to be reminiscing room shadow. Okay, export, there we go. Perfect. It has all the right stuff. And we can remove the box collider and then add a new box collider. There we go. So that it actually lines up correctly. And then I can just stick this really close to the window so the player never collides with it. But definitely in front, we'll fatten up the box collider a little bit just to make sure that the player has an easy time selecting it instead of the wall there. Awesome. Okay. The mythical 0.1x. It's more like a negative 2x dev. But he's pretty cute, so. Hello, Bomb29. Okay, so we've got that plant there. Shouldn't make a paper sound. I don't know what sound it should make. No sound? Start with none. Oh, this shouldn't be fern, this should be Azot. Okay. Very nice. All right, so that one should work. Should probably test these, but it's okay. We're jamming here. Let's get them all in first. Save. So Azot is Control-Shift-S. Davin. Here's Davin. That must be that little scroll. Just the one scroll, I imagine. Okay, so let's do it. Let's go into the texture and just grab this one little scroll. Move it off to the side like this. Maybe we'll move it over here. Okay, what else? Probably that purple one is looking like it should be something, right? Yeah, okay. That one, then we have Mel. So actually everything on this desk should be moved off. Here we go. This little music box. Actually, I'll put the scroll over here. Then we'll put this little music box up in the corner there, and then Mel's thing will move right here. Sweet. And we'll go ahead and save that. This is a 4-pack right here. This is going to be awesome. Okay, so for that, we're going to want to start with a desk. And let's update. Okay, so we've got some texture bits landing here. We also seem to be clipping a little bit off on the scrolls, which is not good. So in order to fix that, I'm going to just take this vert and just move it up. And then I'm going to move that vert up in the texture. All right, and I hope that that didn't mess stuff up. Anyway, I suppose, yeah, it's going to be kind of tricky. I will cut a little bit there because we don't want that to be sampling right there. And then I will have to cut in a little bit here as well. And I will put a cut here. Okay, we'll delete that. And you know, I think it'll probably be best if we oops, did that? No, that changed the we don't want to do that. I want to undo that. That changed the way that that projection is looking, so that's not good. So I guess I just want to cut this out like this, and then maybe cut right here. No, that really changes the projection. It's scary. Everything changes the projection. Okay. Well, what I want to do then is reproject because I can't have that happening. So let's cut these and then go all the way here. And delete that. Okay. And then, oops, cannot rip. No, I definitely don't want to rip. And then we'll project and we'll put the texture exactly where it was before. No, look at this. We're having issues here. Okay, I think that that's all of it. Yeah. All right, it's all lining up. It's good. Okay, cool. All right, so now we've got a number of things that we want. I will move the desk off. We'll go up exactly 1 meter, and then I'm going to scale this down a little bit to like 0.17. Oops, 0.17. And then we have all the different names that we need. So looking at this, we have Davin, Nessa, Mel to start with. So let's go Davin. And then I'm going to duplicate another one and make it a little bit smaller. 0.15, 0.15. And then we're going to go Nessa. And duplicate it and make it a little bit smaller just so we can select them all basically. 0.13. So we'll be Mel. Okay. I'll duplicate this and make it a little bit smaller, 0.11. And who do we got? I'll call it Mary. And then we're also going to need one for Amka, but we don't know where it's going to be. So I guess I'll just make a placeholder for Amka. And then this one's going to be Amka. And we'll make it a little bit smaller. 0.08. All right. There's all the dummies. All the dummy objects are ready to go. So we need to cut. I will duplicate this and move one off to the side just in case we need another one, because we're going to do all sorts of stuff with this. So I know we had this, actually, I don't remember where the scroll was in the texture. That's bad. Let me undo. Okay, redo. So the scroll's like kind of lying in the kitty corner there. So I got to just remember that. The other scroll was just seemingly laying just right here. So this is going to be for, I think, Davin's. And then we've got another one right down here, which I'll just cut like this. Just make sure to give it plenty of room because I really don't want to end up having to expand this. It's just going to be very hard. Okay. Here we go. And we have, going back to the Photoshop file, Mel's thing was just right on the desk, and then this thing was on the corner. So I guess we'll do the corner one first. This one, partition, and then we've really made a mess here. We'll try to create space for Mel's thing right here. We might even need to go a little bit bigger than what we need. So I'll just grab all this stuff, partition it out. Okay. Now I hope I have all of the parts that I need, but for now I'm going to delete this because we've made so much junk. So this one is going to be mapped to this thing. Okay. And now I should be able to just like trim it up. This one should be mapped to this poster here. Okay, we don't need this. And I will cut this off. This one is going to be mapped to this little purple scroll right here. Okay, and we'll trim it up so that it's not sampling from stuff we don't want it to be. And I'll also trim this just because we don't need it. Okay, and then this one should be Davin's scroll. So let's just make sure it's sampling from right here. And then we'll trim it up as well. All right, so now you should be mapped to Davin. So you get mapped to Davin. You get mapped to Mel. You get mapped to Nessa, maybe? Yeah, I think this one's Nessa. Let me go back to our little cheat sheet here. Yeah, it's Nessa. Okay, and then you get mapped to Mary, which is this one. Yep. And then we need some kind of placeholder for the last one, which is Amka. So I'll just duplicate this, I guess, and just move it over a little bit. And maybe just scale it down because we're going to have to make our own new mesh for it anyway. And just parent it to that. Okay, and then we'll go -1. All right, and then we'll unparent this. Cool, and now look at that. We have everything we need. Got some Z fighting, no problem. So let's go into the local. Oh no, we don't have the transform we need. Whatever, we're just gonna just move it slightly. I'll just move them all slightly a little bit off to stop the Z fighting. But I do want them all to have drop shadows, so I will have to do that. So they're probably gonna have to be moved quite a lot more. Let's grab them all. Let's grab each and every one of them and move them all off a little bit. First, I guess we'll just do a sort of sanity check. Well, no, it's fine. We can make the shadows for all of them. So I'll just grab every single one, duplicate, and then move down just a tiny bit. That should make shadows for all of them. And I can just decide on the size of the shadow just by moving it further away. And I want all of these to have the shadow texture, and I'll link the material so that they all have the shadow texture. Okay, now I export. I hope that worked. That was a lot of stuff we did there. So in theory, keep changes. In theory, we just, the desk moved a little, but that's okay. We did reproject it, so hopefully it'll be okay. But I know that we had Mel in there. So I'm going to constrain my search just to models. So we had Mel. We had Nessa. We had Davin. We had Mary. We had Amka. And I think that's all. I think maybe I'll map this to something a little bit more mundane, like just another scroll perhaps. Yeah, I'll just do like another scroll just so that, because that's so distinct. Okay. The only thing is now I just have to delete its shadow, which is fine. And then I'll just duplicate this and make a little shadow. Okay. Cool. Are these in the right spots? I don't know. Well, shouldn't be too bad to move them. Oh, this one is really floating very high. Okay, but they all need little colliders. So let's add mesh colliders to all of them. And they're all going to be convex. And they're all going to have interactives on them. And they're all going to have custom UI on interact. And for now, I'm going to map all their custom UI on interacts to a paper sound. And I'll put it all onto the boat advert. It's just sort of going to be our placeholder. Cool. Okay. Very nice. Okay, now I do need to make sure these little scrolls, some of them seem to have alpha holes. So I want to just make sure that we don't have any of those. If I control click, oh, seemed all right. Okay, I'll save this. The other thing I need to do now is make sure that they all light up. So click on each of them and drag their mesh render to glow. Drag their mesh render to glow, drag their mesh render to glow, drag their mesh render to glow, and drag their mesh render to glow. Okay, sweet. And now make sure to save this thing because we did a lot of work there. Okay, let's see if we can actually click on stuff. I did not test that this entire time. Okay, I cannot. I cannot. Get remaining distance. Nothing is lighting up, which is interesting. Not even this. So what is in front of me that nothing is working? Let's see. Do I have some kind of collision in front of me that is blocking my... Perhaps they're all on the wrong layer. It's on the default, so it should be interactive. And it says it's interactive, and it says custom UI on interact. It says mesh renders to glow. Interact item. Oh, very interesting. Oh, I'm seeing a little bit of a flicker here, actually, which is really weird. This one is no flicker at all. So maybe... Oh, the only thing I can think of is maybe if the reminiscing room is active in the main scene, perhaps. Let me see if I can deactivate that. Otherwise, I'm kind of confused. We'll see. Okay, so the reminiscing room is not active in the main scene. So let's turn on the reminiscing room and look at our collision debug, because clearly there's something in front of... There's some kind of collider that's absorbing the collision here. This collider is pretty garbage, so this one maybe I can kind of understand why this collider is not working, but I don't understand why the other ones aren't. So let me go into window and let's go into analysis, physics debugger. No, it's really clean collision. It's perfectly clean collision. There's nothing in front that should be absorbing the collision. Like, I don't see anything. It's all just there. And all these things have their own collision. Okay, this one I can kind of see why it would be dicey. This one I can't. Well, actually, maybe not. But sure, what could possibly be blocking this one? Nothing. There's nothing blocking this one. Okay, well, we've got a chair here. I don't know, guys. This is really strange. Every single one just happened to be garbage collision. Very suspicious. Well, let's get a really premium collider for this. Let's remove the mesh collider because it is kind of garbage. Actually, if I gave this mesh a little bit of thickness, I bet it would make a good mesh collider. So if I just like extruded it a little bit and then selected everything else and then just mapped it to a transparent pixel. Kind of garbage, but it should make a nice mesh collider. Yeah, it made a perfect mesh collider. So now that is perfect mesh collider. Nobody can complain about it. It doesn't have a material. It doesn't need a material. It's on the default layer. And it has an interactive set and it's setting to make this one glow. So everything should be fine. Let's test it again. For anyone new to the stream, I am the founder of Eastshade Studios. We are an indie video game company dedicated to making games which are places, games which are committed to non-violent game loops. You can check out the Steam page of our current project called Songs of Glimmerwick. I'm working on it right now. I just linked to it there in the chat if you want to have a peek at it. Okay, so now it is glowing. So the problem with the broom was actually legitimately the collider. So these other ones, I'm not so sure. why they're not lighting up. And I don't know if each one has a specific story as to why it's not lighting up, but it's kind of blowing my mind. Let's inspect this one book to why it's not getting the interact message. Thank you, Coratora. Sneaker 101, thanks very much for the follow. Appreciate that. Okay, so what's going on here? I'm going to just like move this object way closer to, so let's just, okay, so it is working actually. It is working, it's just not lighting up. Right? Yeah. One way I can really test if it's working, I can unmute the audio. And I can put some crazy sound in here, like a parrot. Okay, it is definitely working. So it's just not lighting up. So looking at the, yeah, it's weird. It says mesh renders to glow. It's just not glowing the mesh render, which is a problem because players cannot see that they're, or if it is glowing the mesh render, it's doing such a bad job of it. So it's on cutout, and I'm gonna look at the selection glow. No, I can see it's not glowing the mesh render because the selection glow is still set to 0. What if I change this shadow material to a cutout material? Then I'm gonna see if at least that selection glow changes. Okay, look at that. That is really interesting. So I think the reason why it's not glowing is because it is finding out that the material in the 0 slot does not have a glow property, and it's giving up on the whole thing. That's the only thing I can think of, which is interesting. So should I change it in code? Are all of these working? Some of them we're having nav. Okay, yeah, I think they're all working fine. They're just not glowing because of the shadow. So I don't know how to flip around. You can't like tell Blender what material indexes to put first. So the only way I can think of to make this work is if I have a glow material index, or at least on the shadow shader. If I open that shader, I'm going to confine my search to shaders. This should make it work. I'll check this out. And I'll crack open that shader, and I'm going to go check out the cutout shader. Crack that open, and we're going to look at the selection glow. So I'm just going to put that property in the shadow shader, and I'm just going to like comment and say this does nothing except forces the interactive system to actually animate the selection glow if there are other submaterials. And then I will import that into the shader program. So let's find selection glow. The only thing is it just won't do anything. So just add selection glow into the shader program here, and then I'll just save it. And I suspect that they will all glow now. I think that they're all going to work. Yep, that was it. So they're all glowing now. It's kind of hard to tell. They're all, but they're kind of flickering because they don't have good collision, but they're all glowing. Amazing. Sweet. We are on the way. We are cooking. It's the purple one that has issues here. Okay. So the purple one is just a little bit low res. I think I'm just gonna Control J it down. Cool. I will Control S that, wait for it to save, and then pop back into Unity. And then we're just going to fix all the collisions because the collisions are not, they're not doing the trick here. We need to really make sure that these collisions pop way out in front of the collision that is around them, like this chair collision. Like, this one, surely we can make work just by increasing the size of the book collider there. It doesn't need to be quite so big. Okay, so that one surely should work. Just want to make a very forgiving collision. I don't know. Let's just add a box collider to this and see if it doesn't. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit janky, but I think it'll be okay. Let's remove the mesh collider. Something like that. Yeah, I'd rather it be too collision happy. I'd rather it be slurping up too much of the interaction than too little in this case. Okay, so that should be those ones we fixed. And now this one. I don't know, can we get away with a box collider for this one too? This one is going to be a little bit tougher. I think what might work great is if we just like duplicate this object and make it a child. We're going to delete all the children here and then call this desk col. We're going to go to the parent and remove the mesh collider. And then on the desk col, we're going to remove the mesh renderer in the filter. And then we're just going to push this down so that it doesn't conflict with all the collision on of the stuff on the surface. And maybe even push this back a little bit like that. And now these things should all have collision that is well in front. Yeah, I think everybody should be good now. Okay, let's see if that worked. Definitely worked really well. It feels very clean now that they're all being interacted with. It's very clean. Awesome. Sweet. Sweet. Amazing. Okay, I couldn't be happier with that. And it looks great. The room looks so good. All right, folks, I have to call that a stream. It is really late, but I am so pleased. I guess we can cross off. Definitely Davin. S, and Mary, Control Shift S, Mel, Control Shift S, Nessa, Control Shift S, Amka, Control Shift S. We've got some other ones to do, but we're gonna knock them out easy. Okay, thank you, Koratora, and thanks for hanging out. I want to thank everyone for hanging out while we crush this game here. And if you're new to the stream, I've got the MooBot there, linked to the Steam page. Check out our game. Maybe give it a wish list if it seems like your cup of tea. But other than that, hopefully I'll catch some of y'all next time. But bye-bye for now.